So you mentioned drones, and I want to talk about this because I've been disappointed by the coverage in the press about the drones over New Jersey, the drones over the Northeast.
The only reason this wasn't earlier, because I'm glad we're talking about it, the only reason it wasn't earlier is by the time this airs, I hope we know what these are. So yeah, but say more. So
when we talk about the drones that are happening right now over the Northeast, or the drones in recent history over the Northeast, there are two things happening simultaneously, but they're not being differentiated in the press. First, there are legitimate reports of drones operating over areas of interest in Germany, in the UK, in military bases on the East and the West Coast, going all the way back to 2019.
Whoa.
All the way back to 2019, reported by the US military, reported and investigated by the FBI. I've been called in to do investigations to support both, to help them try to understand what they're seeing. When the military talks about drones, they're not talking about what the fucking media is showing on TV. A military drone does not have, generally, 4 propellers, a green light and a red light, a front white light, and a top white light that flashes. That's not a military drone. That's a civilian drone. Or that's an airplane, or that's a helicopter. That's all standard FAA lighting configurations. So yes, there is truth to the current reports and the recent reports that say the majority of drone sightings are what we call false positives, right? It looks like a drone. It sounds like a drone because it's coming from somebody who has no fucking idea what a drone looks or sounds like. They're actually seeing a private Cessna at 2,000 feet that sounds like a lawnmower and has all the right lighting configuration, not a drone. Right. But the reports that the military has seen over Ramstein, over the UK bases, over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, the most significant sighting of all happened in 2019, was a swarm of between 75 and 150 drones that are military style drones. Think about your Reaper, right? Fixed wing, blacked out, no lights, moving at more than 100 miles an hour in swarm configurations that fly over an area of interest and then fly back, right? We're talking about a normal drone has a range of 30 miles, 70 miles, maybe. A commercial drone. A Reaper has ranges in the thousands of miles, right? They have drones for the US military that are recharged by sunlight. So you just launch that son of a bitch above the clouds and it can go on for days and it can just loiter.
Wow.
And it can collect infrared, it can collect signals intelligence, it can collect whatever, and then it can fly back. What the military has reported going back to November of this year is those drones. Blacked out drones not operated by a manned pilot, operating on code and signals and transmitting a radio signal that's usually reserved for satellite technology, but coming from the space above our heads.
Whoa.
That's what they're talking about. That's what's in Virginia. That's what's in California. That's what's in Maryland. That's what's been reported multiple times over that has never really made headlines because of the way the media works. It's not government controlled, but media just doesn't care about actually interesting things. They care about what's happening with the Kardashians.
Yeah.
So there are real drones that are really suspect, that are really being collected by the military. And then there's Tom, Dick, and Nancy, your dumb voter out there with a fucking camera. Who are capturing air traffic and reporting it to the police. And the police don't know what the fuck to do with that. So now you're burying the real intel in all this chaos, right? FBI has known, and they've been investigating through the increasing UAP research groups that have been funded by DOD and funded by the Congress. They've been researching what these things are because it's scary. It's actually scary. It is a legit foreign intelligence collection platform, very similar to the China spy balloon in 2023. It's a capability that exists. It exists for us too. No, everybody's known we've had that drone capability since the global war on terror, but others are producing the same capability and nobody knows what to do with it. So there's two things happening. The media only talks about the first. And the more that I see reports from people saying, oh, it's just residents reporting on air traffic, that's not completely incorrect, but they're glazing over the fact that this whole thing started when the UK reported drones that had no lights and transmitted radio signals flying over American military bases in the UK. That's where this started on November 20th. It wasn't December 1st when there was December 5th. There's a manhunt for Luigi Mangione, the guy who shot Brian Thompson from United Healthcare. There's a manhunt happening for him on the Northeast. Guess what it includes? Drones. So the skies above New York and Pennsylvania and Maryland light up with drones at the same time that the police are reporting that they're on a manhunt using drones. I'm not surprised here, folks.
Right.
Of course, you're seeing drones overhead. But don't lose the signal in the noise.
So what do you think it is?
I think that there's a foreign intelligence collection happening against the United States that has been happening against the United States, but that is now at risk of coming to light. So that's why you see a unified messaging from the US government that says you don't have to worry because they know they can't do anything about it.
Why can't they shoot them down?
What happens if you shoot down a drone over a populated city like Maryland, like Baltimore?
Meaning it'll crash on the city?
So what do you think Americans are going to accept? A lie from the federal government saying they don't have to worry, or 5 people dead because it crashed into an apartment complex, but it gave them a chance to collect the technology that was out there? No, not only that, but when you shoot it down,
at some point it has to go back to wherever it came from. Why not track it?
That's what they're doing. If you shoot the fucker down, you can't track it back. They're collecting information about how they communicate with each other. They're tracking the locations. They're tracking the altitudes. They're tracking the distances. What people don't understand is that all the technology out there, from missile shields to counter UAS technology, it has parameters. You don't just look at everything happening in the sky. You have to tell things what aperture to look at, what altitude to look at, what time of day, what speed. Like you have to give parameters to the tool. So if you tell the tool to look at 5,000 feet, anything moving faster than 100 miles an hour, something could be moving less than 100 miles an hour and not trigger the system. Our adversaries know that, and the fucking adversaries know exactly what our settings are, because that's why they've been committing industrial espionage and corporate espionage and government espionage for the last 30 years against us. So this is their chance to see if we pick them up, if we don't pick them up. And the United States always has the opportunity to just call it a UFO or a UAP. Again, I'm not making this shit up. If you just look at the news reporting the week before the China spy balloon, and look at the news reporting for about the next 2 months after the China spy balloon. There were UFOs in the sky until we said, oh, actually, it's a Chinese spy balloon. Then people lost their shit. We blew up the spy balloon. And then guess what? There were 3 more balloons that flew overhead over the next 3 months. What did we call them? UFOs. And we didn't budge from that. They're just UFOs. We don't know what they are, folks. They're just UFOs. And the UFO community was like, oh, there's aliens visiting us. The government was just like, America can't handle it if we tell them it's another spy balloon. And then the government shot down science balloons from what was it? The University of Auburn and somebody else. They were shooting down science balloons because the technology that we had couldn't identify the payload on the balloon. Like, the government is not as well equipped as we all think it is. It's not Mission Impossible. It's not James Bond. It's always adapting to what the adversary is throwing at us, and the adversary is always adapting to what we're not looking for.
Right.
So swarms of UFOs, of UAPs, of UASs, whatever they want to call them now, swarms of drones flying on the outskirts of American airspace, making incursions and excursions, collecting what they can from signals intelligence, imagery analysis, infrared technology, collecting everything they can, autonomously flown, using only why would they use satellite radio signals? Because guess what they're communicating with? Satellites to get back to their home station. Because you don't even need ground-based relays if you have something flying high enough at altitude. We've known this in military circles. We've known this in intelligence circles. We've known this in open source circles for a long time. It's just never made mainstream news. Now that it has started to make mainstream news, your dumb voter has intervened and has buried the story, which is very convenient to what the government needs to be able to get out of this.
Wow, that is very shocking that we would rather it be aliens than foreign intelligence drones.
Why is that shocking? Why is that shocking, though? Think about it. If you know that it's a foreign adversary over your head, that scares the shit out of you. When you believe it's an alien overhead, you're mixed. Could be hopeful, could be bad, could be neutral. We want to feel safe.
That's retarded. That's actually retarded. I'm very angry right now. It really does make me feel like we're not doing the right thing if we're not addressing it. I do default to keep the public informed. I know, though, that that's naive at scale, and so I want to acknowledge that. But what is the play here?
I think the play is wise. Unfortunately, and I don't have many
Meaning keep lying to the
keep
public?
lying to the public.
Wow.
And I mean, hate me if you want to hate me, but the truth is, when you keep the secrets, you have the power. You can always release a secret, but you can't ever put it back in its box. So if you have secrets, keep them. It's why business owners know this instinctively. You don't tell your competition your secret sauce. There's no benefit to you in doing that. The federal government knows there's no benefit in telling the people, the public, what they're actually seeing in the sky. There's a benefit in telling them what the public is seeing in the sky, but there's no benefit in telling them what they, the military and the government, are actually seeing in the sky. That is worth further research, because when you acknowledge a secret, yes, you tell the public, which you may have a responsibility for, but you also tell the adversary. And if you're trying to protect the public, you can't tell the adversary. So until we have some kind of technology that lets us inform American citizens but not inform everybody else, we have to keep the secret.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I get that. I need to think through it more to have an official opinion. But when we're seeing them sort of nakedly out in the open, God, continually lying to the public. Anyway, I'm going to plant a flag in that as something I need to contend with in my own mind.
And I think it's a good flag to plant. I think we should all be flagging ourselves to say, are we comfortable being lied to? I am comfortable being lied to. My time in the government, my time at CIA made me very, very comfortable with being racially profiled. It made me very comfortable with not having the levels of privacy that we're all told we have. It made me very comfortable with the government keeping secrets from me, because I can see the benefit for me in all three of these areas that isn't just blind ignorance. Like, racially profile me? Absolutely. I'm a brown guy with black hair. I got a shady ass looking, you don't know whether I'm fucking Palestinian or Israeli or Sunni or Shia or Indian. You don't know what I am. So pull my ass over. Let me show you my driver's license, because I'm fucking American. It's going to be a 5-minute inconvenience to me, and then I'm done. And especially if it's like a local cop, if I live in a place where there's only 12 or 15 cops that police me anyways, they all know who I am. And then they stop suspecting me of being whatever the fuck they think I am, because they know what I am. I have zero problem with me being racially profiled. I understand if other people don't like it. You want to listen to my phone calls? You want to read my emails? Go right ahead. Because you know what I'm not doing? Cheating on my taxes, cheating on my wife, or stealing from my own company. Not doing it. So you're going to waste your time, but you're also going to confirm that I'm not the suspect you're looking for. Somewhere out there, there are bad people doing bad things, disguising themselves as good people doing good things. You're never going to find them unless you have a chance to rule me out. So I'm completely okay with that. And now that I've been part of CIA and I've seen the secrets that we have to keep, not just from ourselves, but also from other intelligence agencies, when there's a spy at NSA, you can't tell NSA who you suspect their spy to be. You have to tell FBI. So FBI can look into it, because if you tell NSA, it might leak back to that person. There's always a reason to keep a secret. And I benefit when the government keeps the right secrets. When the government's keeping secrets because they're inefficient or corrupt or whatever, incompetent, that's a whole different story. But I still understand the value of secrets.
If you like this conversation, check out this episode to learn more. Let me ask, the movie Leave the World Behind, which was produced by the Obamas, paints a pretty distressing picture of how you could turn America against itself in 3 easy steps.